Hi guys, let's talk about Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. This will be my honest review slash rant review, because while Brandon Sanderson is very good at what he does, he can't do everything well all the time. Now, if you're watching a Rhythm of War review, I will assume that you have read the first 3 books. If you haven't, some things will get spoiled for you, probably even during the non-spoiler portion of this video. So, you've been warned. And I will start spoiler-free and then save the spoilers for the second half. Since you have read the first 3 books, you know the basic plot leading up to Rhythm of War. There is war on Roshar, the supposed Voidbringers against the actual Voidbringers, the big bad guy Odium with his hand kind of in everything. And these books are not some big good versus evil type of story. This is more like nations are trying to survive while individual people are fighting their inner struggles and trying to overcome their personal demons or personal Voidbringers. And I will say, before getting to the rant portion of this video, the plot of Rhythm of War stays strong. I have no complaints with the plot of the book. Sanderson knows where his story is going. He knows what he needs to do to get there, and he makes it happen. The plot never gets off track, and we see the characters steadily moving forward towards the end goal that needs to happen at the end of the book. So it's not the plot, it's some of the other stuff that bugs me and makes me want to rant about this book. First of all, who censors the Brando Sando? Really nobody anymore? He has readers and editors who help him make sure that the book is as good as it can be, but at this point he's famous enough and he makes enough money for his publishers that no one has to hold him back. He's going to sell books no matter what, so he can just write what he wants how he wants. And Brandon Sanderson is wordy. He loves to talk, he loves to write, and he just keeps the words coming. He uses many words when few words would do just as well. I really felt like this book needed to sit and simmer for a while and let all those extra words evaporate, leaving the strong, flavorful meat of the story intact. And that book did not simmer. It just got published with so much extra stuff, extra things that were said. I did not feel like this story needed this many pages. Look at that. This is so hefty. Slim it down, trim it down, take out all the unnecessary things that aren't important to the plot or the character development, all the extra stuff, and leave what's important here. There's so much extra being said that I believe is supposed to make the world feel more immersive. It makes the world feel bigger, like there's more to it. But really it felt like all the extra stuff in this big world was just kind of getting in the way of the plot and the character development. It felt like it took a long time to get to the parts of the story that really mattered. And by book 4, we are invested. We have spent thousands of pages getting to know these characters. We care what happens to them. We want to see what happens to them. That's why he can keep us going on a book this long. And I felt like he gave us so much more than we actually needed or even wanted. The book starts with a little bit of Navani backstory so we can get her perspective on some things, and then it dives right into some action with Kaladin being all cool and wind-runnery, and we're like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. But then there are such long passages of what feels like nothing in between those cool parts happening. When I finished this book, I told my husband it felt a little bit like wandering through the desert, and then you'd get to an oasis with this lush story, and then leave to wander through the desert again, where it's dry and boring and you just are waiting to get to the next oasis. That's not what a book should feel like. So, unnecessary length and wordiness was my first big main complaint. My second one is disappointing character development. We have gotten to know some of these characters for a very long time, and we've gotten to go very deep with them. Some of the characters did not have enough development in this installment. Some of them had more than I think was needed, and a couple of them felt like their character arcs were boring and then rushed and then got to the end very artificially, like we knew it needed to happen, and so it happened, and it was just kind of like, okay, I guess that's how it ends. As for what made those character arcs so disappointing, I can't get into that without getting spoilery. So, officially, spoiler section. Spoilers for Rhythm of War and for characters. I'm going to go on a character rant here, because if you've watched my channel, you know the characters are what I care about. Where to start? I'm going to start with characters that I don't think had enough development in this book. Adolin and Yasna. I was hoping for more from Yasna, like whether it was more development or just more scenes with her. She wasn't there as much as I had hoped. She's the queen, and I feel like she kind of gets ignored. We have this big moment where she's the most advanced radiant on Roshar. She's the first female ruler in Alethkar, and it's just kind of, yeah, there's a couple scenes involving her, and it didn't really matter in this book as much as I thought it should have. The best Yasna moment was the trial by sword moment, where she and Wit and Renarin work together. I think that showed what kind of person and what kind of queen Yasna is, and I would have liked more strong Queen Yasna in my life. And then Adolin. I really think Adolin's character could have been pushed way farther. He had some good inner conflict going on. Adolin at this point can't forgive Dalinar for his mother's death. This is something that he is internally struggling with, and it gets in the way of his relationship with his father. And Adolin is really struggling with his worth and how much he matters in this new world full of Spren and Radiance. What can he do? Can he succeed in this world? And as much as I love Adolin, I think he and his character needed to be brought much lower down so that the coming out of that would have been more impactful and would have mattered more. But if we're going to spend time on his character, make more happen and make it more important. I don't know how you felt about it, but I did not care for Venli and her point of view, and there was a lot of her. She got one of the main parts in this book, and I just didn't find myself caring that much. She basically goes through a redemption arc, but I think her character development suffered from the same thing that Adolin's did, which was not going deep enough or far enough with her. We see her backstory, and we see that she was selfish, and she did some bad things, and now she feels sad about it. That doesn't seem very compelling, does it? She was a character who got a lot of screen time, and her character arc stayed kind of here, and it should have been more like, here, this is an arc. Shit. Oh. Dalinar's arc kind of fizzled for me. He's a freaking bondsmith, and his part should have been more epic. I really hope we see some awesome things from him in the next book. Book 5. We know there's this final confrontation coming with Odium, and I kind of feel like maybe Brandon Sanderson just saved everything cool about Dalinar for book 5, and he felt a lot weaker in book 4. I'm disappointed. Shallan and Kaladin. If you've read this book, tell me what you think of how their arcs were handled. Yes, I'm going to make full character study videos for these characters that I'm ranting about, but just quickly, what I want to say about them is that in parts, it felt more like I was reading a mental illness manual than reading a compelling story about characters I care about. Sanderson's research and understanding of mental illnesses is something that has won him a lot of praise and respect. And Kaladin is a character that has won a deep place in people's hearts because so many people understand Kaladin and what he's been through. But to me, Kaladin and Shallan's journey through their mental illnesses in book 4 felt at times contrived instead of like an authentic journey through pain that they need to overcome. I did not feel as drawn into their characters as I did in the previous books. Now, both of these characters get their big climactic moment at the end, but those were the moments that felt rushed to me. Both Shallan and Kaladin's character arcs felt like they were leading up to these climaxes in Oathbringer. They both kind of failed at the end. Shallan couldn't overcome her personalities and the pain that splintered her into those. Kaladin couldn't bring himself to swear his next ideal. And so in book 4, it felt like, okay, well, now we need to spend over 1,000 pages getting them to where that climax should have been in Oathbringer. And I'll save more of what I have to say about them for their individual character study videos, but I was disappointed in how their arcs went, although I am glad they both had a satisfying ending for this book. If those two characters had gone all this time, failing at the end of Oathbringer, struggling through Rhythm of War, and then not had a satisfying ending at the end of Rhythm of War, Brandon Sanderson may have lost some fans there. But we get to see them succeed, finally, at least partially, mostly, in a way that leaves us with a sense of completion. They made it. Promises have been kept, oaths have been sworn, and I can feel a little closure with their characters at this point, I guess. But I don't just want to feel closure, I want to feel excited about them and be like, yeah, book 5, let's go! Not sure I feel excited for it at this point. Okay, and the two characters that I really did care about, and that is R'lyeh and Navani. R'lyeh finally gets more attention and finally gets his reward for being so faithful. He's been part of Bridge 4 for a long time. He has stayed with the humans when he didn't know if he should, and now he gets more time on him in the story, and he gets a great reward at the end, finally bonding his own spren. Yay, R'lyeh! That was satisfying. I was very happy with Navani's character arc. I do have a lot to say about her, and she is going to get her own character study video, but I'm not ranting about her. She's one of the ones that I felt like deserved some more attention and a character arc. She has been the supporting background faithful woman in a lot of people's lives and in her country's life, and now she gets to come into her own, and I can't wait to talk more about her. So, in conclusion, while this book felt really frustrating to read at times, the payoffs at the end were worth it. So visit me in the comments and we'll talk about what you loved or hated about it. Subscribe to this channel, my social links are in the description, and I'll see you next time. Bye!